But the reality is most people love it. And even the same thing with subscriptions, man. There's nothing better than when I'm alerted 7 days before my subscription coming, because then A, if I want to add something, or B, if I want to delay it, it's going to allow me to delay it. The worst thing I can do is just have something show up at my door unannounced without telling me. It just makes me upset.
Looking at things like revenue per recipient. So when you're sending these out, right, and you're looking at them on a monthly basis, let's say, you'll see the number of emails that went out, that were sent, and you'll see the revenue that you drove from it. And then therefore you can drive the revenue per recipient. And that's going to measure how efficient and effective these automations are. And then with your kind of complaints and unsubscribe rates, you want those to be low. And with the automations, because they're so focused on someone's actions, if you do them the right way, they should not be having high complaints. But if you don't update them, if they're not relevant, if they're not timely, you might end up with some of these complaints.
Hey, dude, the community is taking off, dude, huh?
Yeah, it really is. I spent a lot of time over the weekend, just welcoming people like you did, and it's been cool to see.
Yeah, it's a really fun thing for us, especially to kind of go nerd out and just talk about retention and just have a core group of community. And what's fun is that it's like such an interesting mix of people. It's not just like founders, or it's not just marketers, but it's like agency owners and agency marketers. And, you've got some founders in there and some marketers in there. So I think that we're doing a good job really just bringing a good diversity, because everyone's going to have a different kind of opinion along the way.
For sure. And it's only going to grow and only going to get better. So excited to see where it goes.
Cool. Well, let's shoot this pod. I've got a lot to talk about today. We're talking about using behavior triggers to automate perfectly timed email and SMS. So we're going to go break this thing down so we can talk all about it and put some things to rest that I think people are thinking about. So let's shoot this thing in 3, 2, 1.
From the open to the click, they're the masters of the flow. Just watch your list grow and your leads turn to gold. Did we retain you so far, or do we have to extend it? If you want results, you gotta send it. Yeah, you gotta send it. Yeah, you gotta send it. Yeah, you gotta send it.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Send It, where we discuss everything and anything retention marketing, specifically in email and SMS marketing. My name is Jimmy Kim, and I'm here with my co-host,
Chase Dimond.
All right, Chase. Today, we're diving into something that can transform the marketing strategy: behavioral triggers for automated messages. And, this all comes because we read that OmniSend report, that 2024 OmniSend report, and we realized the importance of automations more than ever. It's not like we didn't know before, but I think that thing has really just kind of like turned our heads around a little bit and made us start thinking about it.
Yeah, dude, that data just cemented the importance. So I know today we're going to talk all about different types of automation triggers, how to set them up, best practices, and of course, really how to measure and optimize, right? Are you on the right page or are you not, and how do you improve? So with that, I want to start by defining what we actually mean by behavioral triggers. So with a behavioral trigger, right, when we think about like email and SMS, it's some kind of email that's sent based off of a user's action or inaction, right? Something that they're doing on your site, within your app, etc. And with these, right, because you know what someone is doing, what someone's browsing, what someone's reading, the products that they're interested in, those types of things, that's going to help you nail the holy grail of marketing and email marketing, that is, of making sure that you're sending that perfect message at that right time to that right person that feels really personal and really relevant.
Yeah, there's no doubt that these are super important. Not only is it hitting the personalization or relevance mark, these are triggered events that are reaching their customers at like key moments and leading to a higher opening conversion rate, which again, we saw in that report. We saw 3-to-1 purchases, right? Every 3 clicks was driving a conversion, which is really a high level of efficiency, which means that the automations are not only saving you time, but once they're running and set up, they're running continuously and working. And ultimately, it's driving a better customer experience, right? Timely messages don't feel helpful. They don't feel spammy ultimately. And that's really what people really want. So today, I know we've got a list here that we're going to go over, but we're going to go over things like the welcome, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, browse abandonment, new customer welcome, a price drop, out of stock, date-based triggers, order confirmation and shipping follow-ups, and sunset flow. So there's 10 of them we're going to go over. You ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it. And one other thing I want to say is, the beauty of what we love about this and what OmniSend's report showed us is that these behavioral triggers are critical because they allow you to be proactive rather than reactive. And I think most people in life are reactive, and that's why they're not getting the results, just like with an email. When you're proactive and you're reaching out to someone with a helpful hand, with the right message at the right time, with content that's interesting, unique, relevant, personal, all of those kind of buzzwords, dude, that is the holy grail. And I can't wait to uncover that today.
And let's not forget these automations can run years and years with minor tweaks. Now, I'm not telling you right now to set and forget. This is definitely something we're going to talk about, but it's really just minor tweaks and optimizations to continuously generate revenue around the clock. But, when you have to maintain them, there's things that we need to do. We'll talk about that later in the show. But Chase, you want to kick it off? Let's talk about the first one.
Yeah, for sure. So the first one starts at the very beginning. It's when you capture someone's email, typically from a pop-up or some kind of newsletter opt-in, right? Whether that's an embedded form or a file, etc. And with this, right, someone enters their email, typically to receive some kind of discount offer promotion, right? Get 10% off, enter to win this free item in this giveaway, whatever that might be. And with this, right, like this welcome series for non-buyers, this is going to be the first interaction that someone gets from you, from your brand, after they sign up from that opt-in. And with this, right, we're going to want to send kind of a sequence, a series of emails, but really the focus and the kind of the best practice here is we want to introduce our brand. We want to deliver that incentive that we promised, that 10% off or whatever it might be, and really set the expectations about what they're going to receive. So this is your chance to make a great first impression. Make sure that you deliver. And with that, right, you're going to want this email to go out, either right away or within a couple minutes of someone signing up, right? Someone's going to enter the email pop-up. They're going to probably then go check their email to see the code and what's good with your brand. So make sure you deliver that right away. And kind of some of the KPIs to watch here is the open rate should be high, right? People are really excited. They're new, they're fresh. They're on the lookout for that email. The open rate should be high. And the conversion rate should also be high, right? The click-through rates, conversion rates, those things should be high because people want that offer, I'm assuming, that you're giving them and promising them that actually gets them to give you their email. And then also, too, you want to keep an eye on the unsubs, right? A good, well-timed, kind of thoughtful welcome series should have a low number of unsubs. So don't make the mistake of having a lot of people unsub here.
Yeah, and as you're saying this, it's important to hear for the listeners here. You don't want to overload them either, right? Don't send them 10 emails on day one. It's really delivering that message, getting in front of them as fast as possible, and then following up over day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Really want to go through it. All right. So I want to go to the second one, which is the abandoned cart. To not be confused with abandoned checkout. We'll go into that one next. But abandoned cart is when someone adds a product to their cart, but then leaves before they start their purchase or their checkout, right? So these are people who are going, hey, I want to add this to my cart, but they haven't gone and started moving on it. So the strategy here is very simple. You want to send reminders that these items are waiting for them in the cart. You want to offer an incentive if you really need to. And this is also the time, if there's low stock or different things that you can do, to go add that into that marketing message because people want to know why, right? They added the cart. They have some intention to look at it. Maybe they're storing it for later, whatever it is. And the timing here, this is really crucial, I think, right? You don't want to send that timing right away after they've added the cart and be like, hey, don't forget your cart. You want to wait about 1 to 2 hours post abandonment. And then you want to follow up with a second, maybe even third email with 24 hours, 36, 48 hours, if there is no purchase. And these are really important things to think about.
Yeah, and one kind of pro tip here is when you're thinking about like the copy and the design, you really want to keep the tone helpful, right? Kind of along the lines of like, did you forget something? Hey, don't worry, we saved your cart. Don't always just jump straight to the discount, although it can be effective as a final nudge, but really come across as authentic and helpful. And that really helps push people, to feel good about making a purchase from your brand because they feel like you're authentic and you want to help them type of a thing. So the next one, right? So as Jimmy kind of mentioned, there's a difference between the abandoned cart, which he just talked about, and then the one I want to talk about is the abandoned checkout. So this is a little bit, further down the funnel. This is pretty similar, but the difference here, right, is, Jimmy stopped at someone added to cart and then didn't make the subsequent actions of adding to checkout, like starting a checkout or making a purchase. This is that next step, right? So someone added to cart, started checkout, but didn't buy. So, they're entering payment details, shipping details, or whatever it might be. They get distracted. Maybe the site crashes. Something happens that takes them away. Really with this, because they're closer to purchase, we want to address any friction or any kind of concerns they have. Maybe you have high shipping costs, right? Let's address that. Maybe we offer them free shipping. Maybe there's some kind of discount code that they need to make that final purchase to get from, consideration to conversion. Or maybe an offer that they were trying to use just frankly wasn't working. And with this, we want to have a faster reminder window because it can be more urgent, potentially within the hour, right? Maybe 30, 45 minutes to an hour type of a thing, because people were just so close.
Yeah, no, you're right. Exactly. They were that close to buying, but then they left it. So an incentive might be more justified here, but including like quick links, I know like getting them right back to the cart and trying to get them back into the final completion point, because you really got them all the way down to the bottom of the funnel. They've gone through all your different places and now they've made a decision to check out, and they started filling that information out. And for whatever reason it might have been, maybe it's your shopping cart, maybe they forgot their credit card, or maybe someone, the phone rang, whatever it might have happened. People do get distracted, or sometimes it was that friction point. There's no doubt that definitely creates some action.
Hey, it's Chase, and I hope you're enjoying the pod. But if I could just have 30 seconds of your time, I want to tell you about our special friends at OmniSend. OmniSend is an all-in-one email and SMS marketing platform built specifically for e-commerce brands. They make it super easy to engage your customers, drive repeat sales, and create those seamless, personalized experiences that we're always talking about on this pod. And one thing that I love about OmniSend is they're trusted by over 125,000 e-commerce merchants around the world, and their users absolutely love them. They have a 4.8 star rating from over 5,800 reviews on the Shopify App Store. It's an obvious choice for your email, SMS, and push needs. In fact, I'm actually in the process of moving over my own email newsletter and some of my clients, and they have been fantastic. Their support and their platform has been amazing, and there's tons of features, and it's been surprisingly very easy to use. And the whole migration process, I know it sounds daunting. It's actually been a breeze. It's been way easier than I could imagine, and their team has really carried a lot of the weight of that migration, and they'll do the same for you as well, as they have a great automation tool that are going to help bring over your contacts and all your other important data that you need. And they aren't raising any prices, right? They're not going to raise prices like you constantly, like some of the other ones, you know who we're talking about, and call them profile-based pricing alignment, really fancy term that no one means, but OmniSend's not going to do that. They're going to speak the language that we speak. They're not going to raise prices on you constantly. So if you're looking to take your email marketing and your SMS marketing and your push to the next level, I highly recommend that you check out OmniSend. They've got the tools, the automation, and the expertise needed to help grow your brand so you can ultimately thrive. Head over to omnisend.com/sendit to learn more and start scaling your customer engagement today. And let them know that Jimmy and I sent you. Now, back to the pod.
All right. So now let's go to the other way, right? So you had the abandoned cart and an abandoned checkout, but let's go up one layer above that and let's go to browse abandoned, which sometimes people call it site abandoned. There's different ways to kind of talk about this, but ultimately the definition is simple. Someone who browses a specific site or a page, but doesn't add to cart, but you've identified them because they've opted into a welcome series or something like that. It's giving you clear identification of the user, right? This is really an opportunity to have a light touch reminder with the product highlights. The last product they left is probably the product they were looking at last. This is a great way to kind of come back to them and say, hey, you forgot this product. Here's some highlights about the product. Here's some benefits that you can use. And often I like to wait like 12 to 24 hours because you really want to focus on the curiosity here, not the hard sale, because they weren't ready to add to cart or to checkout, but you still have an opportunity to drive them back.
Yeah, and with this, obviously, like much else, personalization is super important, right? So say they looked at a specific product or kind of a category of products. If it was a company that sells like apparel and shoes, maybe they looked at a running shoe, for example. Make sure that you show them that same product as well as kind of related products and related reviews. So that way you can get them to come back and then hopefully take those next actions that you want them to take of adding to cart, starting checkout, and ultimately making that purchase. And then the next one is number 5. So, we talked about number 1 being kind of welcome series for non-buyers. This is a welcome series for new customers. So these are people that have actually made that purchase. So people have made that first purchase from you. And this is gonna be how you welcome them. I think a lot of the mistakes that people make is once they get that purchase, they kind of wipe their hands clean and they're like, cool, I did it. I got someone to buy. I'm done. Now let's go get more people to buy for the first time. And the reality is, as you've heard us preach over and over on this podcast, you want to turn kind of these new customers, this first-time customer, into a repeat, long-time, customer buyer from you, because that repeat purchase is where you become so much more profitable. So with this, right, with the kind of the new customer welcome series, you want to basically thank them for their purchase, share any tips and tricks on actually how to get the most usage and benefit out of the product or the products that you sold them. Invite them to follow along on social, get involved in the community, any of those types of things. And with this, the timing here is we want to do it right after the first order. And the reason being is, we want people to when they're in the heightened state of they just made a purchase, we want them to, remember us in that kind of psychological mindset. And we also want to make sure that their order was confirmed properly, they feel good about it. And again, you're just offering that kind of helpful hand to really be the kind of their friend and their aid in their purchase while they wait for that product to come. And then you could even add multiple emails and make this like a multi-email sequence over the week, kind of just dripping them content while they're waiting and while they're really excited.
And you're right, man. The retention job, right? The whole retention marketer job starts at this point, because your whole job is to get them to the one thing that you care about more, which is the repeat customer. So a new customer welcome flow is a great time to cross sell and upsell, but also it's also genuine appreciation and thankfulness is really clear. And then this is where you start focusing on that repeat customer. But there is one thing you didn't mention here about new customers. There's a new customer, but there's also, and I don't think it has its own category, but there's also the repeat customer re-welcome flow. When someone makes a second purchase, a third purchase, a fourth purchase, just because they're already a customer doesn't mean, A, you shouldn't send them down that same new customer funnel, but you should have a re-welcoming funnel that comes into place. All right, number 6, let's keep moving. Price drop. I love this one because I think this is something that people look for all the time. When a customer has like viewed an item or added to cart, but then you decide to drop the price of the product, and maybe because you're on discount or, whatever reason, you've got high inventory, whatever it is. But the purpose is to alert them about the savings because they had previously viewed or added this product to cart. And what's funny about this is people appreciate it. Strategy here is that it conveys urgency without being pushy, because people are like, oh, they're just being helpful here because my price dropped, and that might have been the reason why it happened. And the timing is very easy. As soon as it happens, doesn't matter day or night, you should trigger that email to let them know, because people are going to want this because it's a nice thing to be reminded about.
Yeah, dude, I love this. It's super, super powerful. And I'd say I probably could speak for you with this as well. Across the hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of brands we looked at, this is a really rare one to ever see. I don't know, maybe I could count on one finger the number of people that actually had this set up prior to us reviewing and adding it. Is this price drop. And I think the only other thing I'd say too is like, have some kind of justification or reason as to why something dropped, right? There's a difference between, maybe something dropping because you're doing a sale, or there's a difference between it being like, oh, it just won't sell, right? And again, like with that, like if you are doing a site-wide sale, maybe you can turn it off, but also too, you might be able to use this as a campaign or automation to say, hey, we are doing a site-wide sale. The price for the item or the items that you viewed or added to cart or started checkout in the past actually have dropped, right? So that's kind of an interesting way. But yeah, if you are doing it for a different reason and it's only a specific item or a few items, make sure that you really do turn off this if you're just doing something else. But with this, right, like I'd say that you want to respect frequency and don't spam them with every tiny price change. It should be something significant, and it should be something that you hold on to. It's almost like that, card that you put in your back pocket when you're playing a game or something, where you're like, I can't wait to use this card later because I know it's going to hit. If you do it all the time, it really loses its specialness, and people aren't going to convert and just really be annoyed if you're doing this all the time. So the next one is kind of out of stock or back in stock, right? And this is another great one. Similar to the one above, it has kind of built-in psychology here where, something that you actually wanted went out of stock. So you've experienced that feeling of FOMO, right? You had a fear something was going to maybe go out of sale. You missed it. You have that FOMO built up. So back in stock kind of play into that whole psychological thing. It sold out before. You don't want to miss it this time. So now when it comes back, you're going to be more likely to buy it if you're still having a need, depending on how long it's been. So, kind of frequently to just explain this. So out of stock is basically if an item is gone, let them sign up for it, right? So have some kind of email sign up. It's a great way to build your list or a great way to learn more about what your subscribers want. And then when the item actually comes back in stock, that will trigger this automation, this email saying, Chase, this running shoe's back in stock, or Jimmy, this hat is back in stock type of thing. And then the timing, right, is just going to happen whenever that item actually re-enters being back on stock.
What's up, guys? Real quick, I need just 30 seconds of your time. You already know that personalization is the holy grail of retention marketing. It's that unicorn that we're all chasing. No pun intended. But let's face it, time, resource, and nonstop content changes can make it incredibly difficult for any retention marketer to create real personalization. Well, not until today, that is. I'm really excited to share that Nacel's new AI-powered product recommendation solution is here. And this AI-powered suite goes way beyond basic customers also bought recommendations. It actually analyzes the entire customer journey. Yes, that's right, from first click to checkout. So you can deliver hyper-relevant experiences to each of your customers. Okay, let me make this super simple for you so we're on the same page. So basically, their AI is going to analyze each customer's complete product journey. It's going to create a product collection to automatically push into your email marketing campaigns, which is going to generate a dynamic landing page with those exact personalizations and those exact recommendations. This is going to create a true, unified, personalized experience at scale. And merchants can transform their e-com store with AI-powered product recommendations that understand their customers' actual behaviors, not just their purchases. So if you're an e-com brand hungry for next level personalization, the ones that you always hear people talk about, but they don't actually give you a tool to use, now you have one. You have to check out Nacel's new AI-powered product recommendation today and let them know that Jimmy and I sent you. Now, back to the pod.
Yo, dude, I think people forget this, but so many times I go to these websites and their product is out of stock and they don't actually have any way to get alerted or notified. I think that is a missed opportunity by many people ultimately. I mean, it's such a powerful way to not only get data like, oh, these people are looking at my site and they're coming to a product that's out of stock. Like that might be a trigger for you to go restock it. But number two, dude, any opportunity to build a list. And this doesn't mean, and this is really clear here, I hope people understand this, just because they've opted into your out of stock email does not mean you should be opting them into your daily campaigns. Ultimately, these are specials, kind of like an abandoned cart. They haven't really given you the permission to start emailing them. What they have done is told you exactly what they want to buy. And for someone to go out of their way to put their email and or SMS in for a product, there's probably a high level of intent. Now, obviously, the longer it takes, the information goes into place where, someone might not buy. But, all it really takes is a short message, man. Oftentimes, I get these all the time. Good news, your favorite product is back, or good news, this product is back. Dude, I mashed the buy button because oftentimes I've been waiting. It happens all the time, especially in like car parts and stuff when I'm waiting for like rare parts that I know only restock 3, 4, 5 pieces at a time because they're man-made or whatever it might be. I am very much on top of those. All right, let's jump into number 8. I like this one because I think people don't use this one enough either. The date-based. I'm talking anniversaries, birthdays, subscription, whatever that date-based trigger is. But an automation that's tied to a relevant date, like a customer's birthday, a subscription, an anniversary, whatever it might be. And it's almost like a good timing offer, right? To me, the approach is simple. You should be offering some type of special perk, a discount, ability to add something, to do something, bonus points, all those different things. And to me, the key is this. It's not about the exact date. It's sometimes like up to 7 days before, or even like a couple days before coming into it. It allows you to almost create an event, because if you're 7 days before their birthday, it's better to be like, hey, your birthday is coming. And then you can hit them with it's your birthday, happy birthday. So you can hit them twice or even 3 times. Even you can count them down. I mean, here's a 7 days before your birthday. No one gets mad because you're reminding them about their birthday, unless they really absolutely hate their birthday. But the reality is most people love it. And even the same thing with subscriptions, man. There's nothing better than when I'm alerted 7 days before my subscription to let me know the subscription's coming, because then A, if I want to add something, or B, if I want to delay it, it's going to allow me to delay it. The worst thing I can do is just have something show up at my door unannounced without telling me. It just makes me upset.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot to love about these emails, as you mentioned. But for me, the big one that stands out is just building that goodwill, right? And even just a simple birthday message can make someone feel really special. And again, it's all about connecting the dots with customers consciously or subconsciously. When you can make someone feel a certain type of way about your product, your service, your brand, that is really special, because a lot of companies and a lot of marketers cannot make that happen. So when someone has the option between you and someone else in the future, if you do all these things the right way, they're going to choose you time and time again, right? The experience and everything about it was just so much greater. And kind of the next one, and I'm going to make this one quick because it's a lot more straightforward, but order confirmation and shipping follow-up, right? Essentially these are transactional emails that have summaries and kind of next steps. You're confirmed for this purchase of this hat, or whatever that might be. Keep an eye out for, the emails that we're going to send you when their items shipped, when it's out for delivery, etc. So these are just great emails to, again, be proactive, not reactive. Like customers know their sale went through successfully. get them really excited about what's coming, allow them to keep track on the shipping and those types of things of like when it's close, so that way they can go utilize and enjoy it as soon as possible, right? So, and with this, like you can include different types of product recommendations, unboxing tips, just types of things that the item's going to be in their hands soon. Is kind of your final chance to give them whatever you want to give them in terms of information, because these emails are very high engaging.
Yeah, there's no doubt these messages have some of the highest open rates, because who doesn't want to know about their product shipping or updates or tracking numbers? All of us, man. I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for the tracking number because I want to be able to see when is it coming, when do I have to wait for it. So it is a perfect time to start cross-selling and providing relevant instructions and being helpful. Anything you can do to kind of like create the connection. Plus, the signals you're going to get from those opens and click rates are going to give you it allows you to build up like, hey, they're real, they're engaged, and all that stuff. With that, talking about such a high level of open rate, let's jump to the other side. And number 10 for us, and I know we talk about this a lot in the certification course, is the sunset flow or the re-engagement flow. And basically, just to make it really clear, it's really the reactivation attempt. When a subscriber is getting 90, 120 days, 300 days old, whatever that activation sunset period is for you, it's to trigger a series of re-engagement emails or SMS to see if they're still interested in your brand. This is something that everyone should remember when you're thinking about this. Every customer has a life cycle. There's a start and an end. Many customers, the ones that are making purchases, will eventually stop buying one day. And it's okay to let them go, but it's always great to stay in front of them and try to make sure that you're clear and letting them know like, hey, like if you're uninterested, let them go, right? And if there's no response, just remove them from your active list. It's just good for good list hygiene. And you know how much we've been talking about list hygiene this year.
Dude, 100%. It's so important. And again, like with this, kind of to close the loop on this one before we go to kind of reviewing and optimizing automations, is these kind of sunset flows really do help keep your deliverability high by removing those folks that just frankly are not interested. And I don't mean that offensively. I mean that actually to be helpful, right? And with this, when you send these emails, offer them a clear chance to opt out or stay in. Put the ball in their court and respect either decision that they make.
100%, man. And it's okay. There's nothing wrong with people when they move on. Now, one thing as we've gone through these 10 things that people don't talk about enough in automations is that people think that we should be setting and forgetting it. And we've really nailed down that's not the right way to go after it. In fact, we're recommending that you should be reviewing them every 30 days.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I think that's also a huge mistake that we see when we audit accounts for small, medium, and even large brands, is they're just not doing these types of things. Their automations, their flows, whatever you want to call it, they're collecting dust. They haven't been looked at for 6, 12, 18 months. And that's dangerous. You're losing money. You're leaving money on the table. You're leaving engagement on the table. Links might change. Offers might change. It's just too hard to drive revenue from these ever crucial kind of automations when you don't look at them. So with this, right, like you do want to look at your opens, your clicks, your conversions, your unsubs, etc. This way you can see in relatively real time if something is underperforming, if there's complaints that you're getting, if discounts or certain things are broken, you can tweak them right away. And don't be afraid to experiment, right? A/B test your subject lines, try different CTAs, test your offers. Even small changes here can lead to really big improvements, because that Jimmy talked about, the data from OmniSend that we saw, I believe they said that typically 1 out of 3 clicks from these automated emails results in some kind of conversion. So you're going to be wasting clicks if you don't have the right thing in place. And if you can improve the conversion rates and improve the amount of click through, it's just going to add up to your bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, all right. I know you're enjoying this pod, but I wanted to stop you just for 30 seconds and tell you about something very special that Chase and I have been working on. Between the two of us, we have over 20 years of experience in email marketing. And when we teamed up to do this pod, we realized we had even a bigger opportunity to put our minds together and create a certification program that takes our 20 years of knowledge and share it to the world. And that's why we created Ecom Email Certified, an end-to-end course and certification program that's designed to take anyone, regardless if you're a newbie to an experienced marketer, founder, executive, agency marketer, or any other marketing professional, to teach them everything we know about email and SMS marketing. From deliverability to AI to copywriting to design to strategy, we cover it all. It's loaded with 175 plus modules, 25 hours of education combined with quizzes and community, all designed to educate, test, and certify you as a full-fledged email marketer for e-commerce. And since you're listening to this pod, we want to reward you for your loyalty. So we're going to give you a coupon for $100 off this certification. Jump over to emailcertified.com. Use coupon code SENDIT, that's SCNDIT, no space. Join our certification program today. Now back to your pod. Let's go through some tips here, right? So number one, and we'll go back and forth here. Number one, you need to review every 30 days. Check your opens, your clicks, your conversion, your unsubscribe, and identify any sudden drops or spikes that indicate a problem in your success. Very simple.
Yeah, number two, kind of just doubling down on what I mentioned. A/B testing subject lines, send times, content, etc. And then for things like SMS, test different lengths and test different kind of CTA wordings.
100%. How about number three to me is content updates, right? Ensuring that seasonal promotions and outdated incentives are updated regularly. So you're really reviewing your content to ensure that you're not sending some old message or old product that you have. Plus, man, you should be refreshing your branding, your images, your discount codes. These are all super important, and we often forget these all the time.
Yeah, 100%. And then the last one, number four, to close out kind of this, is the metrics to focus on. So for the open and click rate, you're looking at different types of things where you want to drive engagement there. With the conversion rate, you want to make sure that you are driving sales related to the automations that are supposed to be driving revenue, right? The welcome series for non-buyers, the abandonment flows, etc. Maybe in the sunset, you're just trying to get people to re-engage with the email, but most cases, right, you're trying to drive some kind of conversion event for each of these automations. Looking at things like revenue per recipient. So when you're sending these out, right, and you're looking at them on a monthly basis, let's say, you'll see the number of emails that went out, that were sent, and you'll see the revenue that you drove from it. And then therefore you can drive the revenue per recipient. And that's going to measure how efficient and effective these automations are. And then with your kind of complaints and unsubscribe rates, you want those to be low. And with the automations, because they're so focused on someone's actions, if you do them the right way, they should not be having high complaints. But if you don't update them, if they're not relevant, if they're not timely, you might end up with some of these complaints.
Yeah, 100%. That unsubscribe to action rate is something you've got to think about. We talked it in last week's 2025 Playbook Pod, basically talking about the fact that you need to be measuring that data point and making sure that the people aren't just clicking to unsubscribe, which tells you that people are not interested. The worst thing you can have is someone is clicking and then you dive into the metrics and the next thing you notice is that people are subscribing to your automations and unsubscribing right away. Probably tells you there's a problem with some of the messaging you have. All right, look, we've talked about different triggers today, from welcome flows to sunset flows and everything between. Chase, any final words that we have for advice? I have some that I'm going to think about, so I'm going to give you two, and then you give me two that we can kind of give the listeners advice basically to do it. So number one, my first and most important one, and I know this is supposed to be obvious, and I hope you're listening to this is pretty obvious, but set up your essentials, man. At the minimum, your welcome, your cart abandonment, your post-purchase flows. We've learned looking at that report, and also just generally, we already knew this, but those are your three most important things that you've got to set up to make money, right? And then secondly, make sure you're expanding strategically. Triggers like price drops, back in stock, date-based things, anything you can do to deeper and more personalize that experience, use it, leverage it. The tools are in front of you to make them easier for you.
Yeah, number three is review regularly. So as Jimmy mentioned before, keep them fresh, optimize them every 30 days, set reminders, set timers, do whatever you have to do to actually remember to do them, because that's so important. And then measure and adjust, as we talked about, some of the KPIs and some of the metrics to review. Review those, figure out how to improve those, and continually improve, because again, this is going to drive a lot of engagement and revenue for you.
Dude, I love this episode. I feel like there's so much meat in this episode of things that you should be thinking about. And I know to you and I, often we think this stuff is like super simple and straightforward, but the reality is a lot of people don't have it. I don't know about you, but how many accounts do you audit where they barely have a welcome and a cart and a post-purchase flow? It's sad actually, because there's so much money that's being left at the table for many people.
100%.
So, all right, dude. Well, with that, that's a wrap of this episode. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you like, subscribe, follow, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast listening platform. You can follow this show on X, LinkedIn, YouTube, IG, TikTok, and there's a few ways to connect with us. First and foremost, we have a newsletter, obviously. It's at ecomemailmarketer.com. We drop newsletters 3 times a week, and we only talk about retention marketing. We do breakdowns, we do hot tips, we talk about different things. So make sure you check the show notes or whatever, get that link, and it should also come across the screen, but Ecom Email Marketer. Secondly, we have a brand new certification program. If you heard about the community we talked about in the beginning of the show, this is where it's happening right now. If you're a retention marketer, you're learning about retention, specifically in email and SMS, we have a brand new certification course out, and it's available. It's 25 hours, 175 modules, and it includes a full exam, and it gives you a certification to proudly present on your social, use it to get a new job, or even ask for a promotion. It's found at ecomemailcertified.com, and if you use coupon SEND IT, it's all one word, lowercase, you can get $100 off your certification today. And of course, you can follow us on social. Chase, where can they find you on social, man?
Almost all platforms, Chase Dimond, no A in Diamond.
Yeah, and you can find me on LinkedIn and X today. All right, Chase, next week we've got a special guest. We're going to do a deep dive here because I think sometimes you don't get to hear the stories of businesses and, some of our favorite ESPs and different companies in the market. Well, they have a really cool, unique story. So we're going to do a $0 to $55 million ARR journey story. We're going to dig into the plans of the future and the future of ESP. So I'm excited about that one. I'll see you next week, Chase. Thanks to the listeners for tuning in. We'll see you guys later.
Cheers.
From the open to the click, they're the masters of the flow. Just watch your list grow and your leads turn to gold. Did we retain you so far, or do we have to extend it? If you want results, you gotta send it. Yeah, you gotta send it. Yeah, you gotta send it. Yeah, you gotta send it.